Hello friends, so welcome to this lecture on Achieve Zero Trust with the Conditional Access. So before digging into the further like how is your conditional access policies work, let's try to understand what is zero trust and how conditional access policies can help. So before digging into the further, let's try to understand why zero trust is required. Because if you compare to the scenario, the way we work today to the last 10 years, it has totally changed. Because earlier we used to work on premise and there were some branch offices, head offices, and for organizations the perimeter were defined. They used to deploy firewalls and all those things to secure the network access. And similarly, password security with random characters or with the combination of alphanumeric, we used to consider them as secure, but those days are gone, or you can say those methods are obsolete. Because let's say if you're working on on-premise or some fixed applications which are there hosted into your data centers, those methods were considered secure. But with the adoption of cloud and users are using number of applications and we are much more mobile, these methods are pretty obsolete and very difficult to secure the information. So that is why zero trust principles should be established and that can be achieved with the help of conditional access. So zero trust, we have studied that a cloud based solution which is used to grant access to users while isolating applications and data from the threats and attack. It can be broken into three main components. The first is never trust. Always verify whichever the request is coming from, whichever device, from whichever user. Always verify and provide access only after the successful user device authentication. And let's say if the device is not authenticated and is not verified, is not as per the organization compliance policies, and each and every request which is coming to your infrastructure, to the application, think that request as a unique and try to apply all the policies and verify that whether that particular access request is authentic or not, and only then provide the access. Identity as a control plane. See, in the last lecture we tried to understand the concept of zero trust. So with the help of Azure AD conditional access, we can achieve zero trust by making the identity as a control plane. Why identity and control plane? Because the number of applications which organizations or users are using to harness the power of cloud, or let's say for the digital transformation or innovation, the number of applications are really increasing. So it is a challenging task to keep update with all those applications or to provide secure access to all those applications. And in addition to that, if you really add the number of devices, the number of locations from which user is trying to log in, it is pretty difficult task, or you can say a management of all these things would be pretty difficult. And user is also trying to access number of applications onto the cloud and on-premise. Users are using on-premise Active Directory, cloud Active Directory, and due to which management is really a tough task. And let's say in such a scenario, if the organizations or customers, they are trying to secure the identity by using some kind of on-premise identity solution and connecting all these applications or providing access to users is really a tough task. So in that case Azure Active Directory can really help by making the identity as your control plane with the help of conditional access policy. So with the help of this, you can use different features like self-service and single sign-on, automatic user provisioning, deprovisioning. So those kind of tasks can be really helpful in providing access to different users across different application, with the help of which we can provide security to the infrastructure or to the application, and making sure that different threats or malicious users which are trying to log in or they cannot log into the different application. So this is it, friends. In this lecture we discussed about the zero trust conditional access policy, and then how your Azure Active Directory conditional access can achieve zero trust by making identity as your control plane. I know it is pretty difficult to understand at this point, but in this further subsequent